Hey everyone, it's Karen. Okay, so I thought that I would talk to you guys about the book that I finished reading while I was watching Unsolved Mysteries get filmed, and that book was Sitting Pretty by Rebecca Tossing, I think is how you say her name, and I really like this book. People raved about this book. Now, to me, it was very good. I would not rave about it, but I also don't have a disability. So this book is essentially a memoir by Rebecca, and it is about her experience living in or using a wheelchair, basically, not living in a wheelchair. But yeah, it was really, really interesting just hearing all of her experiences. So as a profession, she's a teacher, and it was really interesting to hear what her classes were like and what the comments from students were like. So she actually for a while was teaching a high school class on disabilities and society and all sorts of stuff. I don't remember the exact title of the class. And one thing that was just shocking to her and heartbreaking and all the feelings was the idea that these are teenagers, right? So they're living in a world where you think they would be more accepting of a lot of different types of people. If you're a teenager walking into a class on disabilities taught by a disabled teacher, you would kind of think that the students would be more open to it, and they were not. It was just crazy how much ableism was present in her classroom. And it wasn't even like, it was like she was like hitting a wall with everything she was trying to say. One of her main points was basically that, like, yes, you may have a body that's disabled, but like society is the one that is making you not able to access certain things. And that just did not make any sense to those kids, because they were like, yeah, but your body is still broken. Like, your body is still the problem. And anyway, so it was really, really hard for her, because how can you not take that personally when that's your entire life and you feel like you're not valued? That was crazy. She had a really great quote about teaching. She said, a lot of full-time working gigs are hard, but this is what I've learned about teaching. It will consume anything you allow it to touch. Every cell in your body, piece of your brain, corner of your heart, minute of your waking life. So true. That's why I'm gonna try really hard this upcoming school year to have boundaries. We will see how it works. She included a lot of history sort of stuff in here, and just kind of like also like the way our society is now. So for example, talking about women, she said, I've never heard this before. She said that, did you know when public restrooms were first created, they existed only for men? Because why would a woman ever be in public long enough to need a toilet out in the wild? Wow. So women were expected to be at home, and there's no reason why they would need a public toilet. The last thing I will say about this book was basically that I hope that people will read this, people who are American will read this with an open mind and try and have empathy for the author and her situation. So one of the things she talks about, okay, she went to college, okay, done with college, right? That's when you're supposed to be independent. And so it's like, how does a person with a disability make that switch from being on your parents' health insurance to being on your own health insurance? Like, in America, you need a full-time job to get quality health insurance, and if you're disabled, it's hard for you to find a job. It may be hard for you to, depending on your disability, to work a full-time job. Like, I don't know, right? It just depends on your situation. And it's like, there's people who don't want to hire you, but then there's also like, maybe your body is not ready for a full-time job. You need a part-time job, right? Like, I don't know, whatever. It depends on you, right? Okay, but how do you get medical care when you're like the population of people that needs medical care the most, who probably visits doctors more often than anyone else and has all sorts of expensive equipment like wheelchairs and all that sort of stuff, and like, how do you get health insurance? Okay, you need a full-time job to get health insurance, but you can't get a full-time job because it's just like so insane to me. Like, I personally have amazing health care. As an individual, I'm very happy with what I receive, but things can change in an instant. You can become disabled in an instant, and you can become lower income in an instant. Like, things happen, and we have all these people basically saying that you have to work hard and, like, you know, be a stand-up citizen in order to get insurance. But like, anything can happen at any time, and it just does not seem fair to me that not everyone has access to it. And so basically the situation the author was put in is like, she can't find a full-time job, right? Because there's all these different reasons why people don't want to hire her. So it's like, okay, you need a full-time job. But if you don't have a full-time job, the other option is you can go on Medicare or Medicaid. I get them mixed up, but it's like government-sponsored healthcare. But in America, it's really only for people that are low income or people with disabilities or elderly, or it's not just universal healthcare. Not even close. And so you get cut off from that if you make above a certain income level. So it's like, okay, you can have a full-time job, which hopefully you would be able to find, but if your body can't do a full-time job in the way that the employers want you to do it, or if you can't find one or whatever, then you basically have to stay below a certain income level where you won't qualify for healthcare. And so it's like, you could have opportunities to make more money and to like help yourself get along further in life, but then you wouldn't have health insurance, which is kind of something you need. And it's just like so frustrating. So yeah, I definitely think that America needs to change how they do healthcare. And I think a lot of people think that too, and I don't know why we're not moving forward. If you have thoughts on that, feel free to leave them in the comments. Okay, the final thing that was really cool about this book, because I feel like I've been rambling, is in the epilogue, she has a list of activists, artists, and very cool people. And then she has a list of like little bios that you can check out. One of them, actually two of them I already know. Alice Wong, amazing. She was the editor of a book, Disability Visibility, which is amazing. And then Judy Heumann, who just wrote like a memoir sort of thing, and that was amazing too. I'd recommend both of those. There's a list of books that the author recommends, TV shows and movies that actually portray people with disabilities in a good light, where they're not trying to escape their disabled body, and also oftentimes are played by characters that actually or actors and actresses that actually have a disability. And then she put a bunch of Instagram hashtags, and yeah. So I definitely really liked this book. I think the only reason I wouldn't rave about it is because I do not have a disability, so it wasn't like my personal story, but I do think it's important for everyone to read this book or Disability Visibility or some sort of other book that allows you to have some empathy for people with disabilities. So that is that. Let me know if you've read it, or if you've read any other books written by people with disabilities that you feel like I would love, or that other people would love too, because I feel like sometimes it's fun to read the comments and see what other people recommend. Okay, but then also I want to show you my page 1 book subscription box came in, and it is giant. It is never this big. So I'm gonna do an unboxing, maybe if I can get my scissors opened. I have no idea. Like, it feels like a lot of stuff is kind of moving around in here. So I don't know if they ran out of smaller boxes or if there's like one item that required a slightly larger box. I'm not sure. Ooh, oh, this is why. There is a page. Oh, this is so cute. It's a page 1 wine glass. That makes sense why they needed a larger box. That's so cute. Okay. Then my page 1 bookmark, which this time says, do not read as children do to amuse yourself, or like the ambitious for the purpose of instruction. No, read in order to live. I feel like that's sound advice. Then there's another little thing saying like, hey, if you don't like this book, you can return it. And there's also a quote by Barack Obama: in the face of impossible odds, people who love their country will change it. So that's relevant to the book we were just talking about. All right, so here's my book. It's nice and slim. Okay, let's see what it is. Okay, this is it so far. Okay, this is like stressing me out to not do the whole thing. Oh my gosh. This is actually, looks pretty cool. I've never in my life heard about this, but I love nonfiction, and I just feel like this is kind of relevant actually to what we have been talking about with like changing the world and whatever. This is called Banvard's Folly: 13 Tales of People Who Didn't Change the World. I am super curious about this one. Like what type of people are in here. If it's like hilarious things about just random people, or if it's like, well, they didn't change the world, but they did like some small impacts. Like, I'm not really sure what this is going to be about. Oh, okay. I'll read the back. How about that? In Banvard's Folly, Paul Collins celebrates what he calls the forgotten ephemera of genius. Here are 13 unforgettable portraits of men and women who have claimed their share of renown, but who, whether from ill timing, skullduggery, monomania, the tinge of madness, or plain bad luck, or perhaps some combination of them all, leapt straight from life into thankless obscurity. Among their numbers are scientists, artists, writers, entrepreneurs, and adventurers from across the centuries and around the world. They hold in common the silenced aftermath of failure, the name that rings no bells until now. Oh my gosh, that sounds so good. All right. I'm going to go and get reading and just get into my evening, but I hope you guys had an amazing day or are having an amazing day, depending on when you watch this, and I will talk to you later.